At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
We'll have some rational thoughts, of course. Welcome to the show today. I'm your host, Doug Crowe, and I've got a great guest on today. We're going to be talking about ghostwriting. And I'm going to tell you, the reason you should pay attention today is because I don't care who you are, but most people I talk to might have great stories, but they cannot articulate it. You know, most people just stink at writing. And that's why you need to probably hire someone to help you, either with the editing or actually writing it yourself. And our guest today has an International Academy on ghostwriting, one of my favorite topics. So welcome to the show today, Mr. Eli Gonzalez. How are you, Eli? Whoop, you're on mute again. Or maybe did I do that? Check your microphone, sir. Is that me or you? There we go. Okay, good.
All right. Well, let me say that again. I'm doing well,
Yeah.
and thank you so much for the opportunity to be here.
You bet. That's great. So we're going to get to ghostwriting in a minute and how you got started. I want to go before that. I don't think you're like a 20-year-old kid. So give me a little bit about your background.
Yeah. So a background, little Puerto Rican kid from a little small town. Always loved to write, but never thought that was in the cards for me. Was in corporate sales for about 25 years before I did a favor for a former pastor of mine. He calls me up and says, Eli, I'm trying to write this book. And Doug, I don't know how much interaction you have with pastors, but for them, it's God told me. It's always God told me, right? So, right. Eli, I'm trying to write this book, and I'm having trouble. God told me to call you. And I'm like, Pastor, I've never written a book. Like, why would God tell you to call me? But when I was at the church, I did do a couple plays there. In any event, make a long story short, I knew his voice. I knew how he preached. I knew how he communicated. And I loved the content of the book. The name of the book is called Excuses, Excuses. And I wrote that book for him in 9 days. And so what happened, we got so involved in it. And what happened was he had sent the manuscript to a publicly traded publishing company. They told him, you should hire a ghostwriter. He said, I don't have the money. So he called me. When he sends the manuscript back, they said, you did hire a professional ghostwriter. Mm-hmm. And that was my first book. I had no idea what I was doing except for by how I felt it should go. Long story short, man, they call me and make me an offer. Well, they set up an interview. I was doing well. I was doing well. Corporate sales manager, medical equipment company, had a young daughter. Wife didn't want to work. She didn't have to. I get all excited that I can be a writer. And I go to the interview, and it was literally like 30% of what I was making. So I had to turn it down. I had to be responsible. I was very dejected. My wife saw after the interview how dejected I was. And then, Doug, this is a hidden nugget here. You got to be mindful who you marry, man. I mean, that's the biggest decision of your life. After a couple weeks of me just moping around, she's like, you know what, babe? Take the job. I'll get a part-time. We'll get rid of the leased cars. You were made to do this. Wonderful. And we made a decision to take a 70% pay cut. And we did it. And that's how I started into ghostwriting.
Amazing, amazing. Before the show started, you said something that really lit me up because we're like at opposite ends of the spectrum here. But you said these words, and I want to expand on this because I think this is a really important topic for people who do enjoy writing. You said they should be writers, not authors. And I think people think that's the same thing, but it's not. Writing is a profession. Authorship is a brand or something. So give us your perspective on how you can help or why that's important for writers to know the difference.
Yeah, it is different. Authorship is a status, right? It's a level of credibility. It's a brand almost, right? But writing and really, you know, there are millions of people that love to write, you know, and millions of people have been told you should be a writer, you should be a writer. And those that actually believe that they should, they try, and they write a book, you know, and it might be a phenomenal book because they're great writers. The problem is the market is so saturated that while they have a great book, they don't know the book industry, the publishing industry, how
Mm-hmm.
to market themselves, how to market their book, how to get on podcasts like this. And so the book doesn't do anything for them. And then they live the rest of their lives almost dejected, like, man, I wish I could have been a writer. The truth is, if you're a talented writer, and this doesn't mean any education level, if you're just a talented writer, you should look into ghostwriting, because if you love to do it, you can live the life that you want, which is writing and creating, and you can make the money that you dream of. And I'm not talking millions of dollars, right? But I'm talking probably more than most people make now.
Yeah. Right.
And have the flexibility of traveling wherever you want. So anybody listening or watching or whatever, if you have a talent to write, I strongly consider ghostwriting. And here's another reason why: 81% of American adults at one point in time feel like they should write a book.
That's right.
They don't have the time or the talent.
No.
The world needs ghostwriters.
Mm-hmm.
So
So now
yeah,
in 2025, of course, we got to talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to AI writing. I know that our company, I was nervous about the AI writing for about 2 weeks. And then I started using it. I'm like,
yeah.
ooh, not so good. And this year, it's gotten a little bit better, however. So I'd like to get your perspective on AI in general, and then how your writers should or could or not use it.
Yeah, that is the elephant in the room. A lot of people are scared
Yeah.
of it. I'm not yet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one day I will be.
Yep.
And there's a couple reasons for it. So, the softwares and these different AIs, they're so sophisticated. So nowadays, if you do a book that's mostly AI generated, Amazon will flag it. If you're using a Grammarly or a software system to help your writing, it can help your writing, but it also detects what may be AI generated.
Yeah.
And some people are saying, and I haven't checked this out myself, but one ghostwriter told me that if you try to push an AI generated book through Amazon, that they could suspend your KDP account, right?
Mm.
So those of you guys, oh, AI. Now, it's not to say that as a ghostwriter or as an author you shouldn't use AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's here to
No.
make the world easier.
Right.
So we use it for mainly for setting up the outline
Yep.
for writing's prompt. How would you start this chapter? Maybe
Right.
those are great ways to use AI.
Yeah.
But if you lean on it too heavily, why would somebody pay you 10, 15, 20, $30,000 to write the book?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
not at all. I'm doing some research myself on this, and I've got some stats for you. I can get the sources for this and get it to you later. But some recent studies show 22.6% higher engagement, reader engagement, with human edited versus pure AI content. Because even if we can't detect it ourselves, we intuitively know this sounds like a robot, right? The
Yeah,
second one
it
was
does.
even more impressive. 78% of executives still prefer human editors and reputation critical content. They don't trust it yet. So even if it's not a story based, if it's more data driven, they still want a human in there, double, triple checking things to make it sound good. So I think that says a lot for our industry. That yes, like using the word processor, Excel, a calculator, my lawnmower, we use tools to make our lives easier. But my saying is, I use AI. I don't let AI use me.
Yeah,
And I think
let
that's
me
real. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so excited to be here. I keep cutting you off. Another thing that AI won't do is interview you, right?
That's right.
So
That's right.
so a good ghostwriter will stop the client and say, "Hey, why is that important?"
Oh my God.
And all of a
Right?
sudden, there's a whole nother aspect to the book that would never have been there, right? A
That
good
is.
ghostwriter will say,
Yep.
explain that, because the
Huh?
person, the client, they're probably talking in their jargon speak and think that the masses know what they're saying, but they don't. So it takes
Yeah.
that human interaction. But
Hmm.
and here's another hidden thing people don't know about ghostwriting: you have to be a great writer, yes, but you also have to be an astute interviewer.
Yes.
You,
And
And
genuine curiosity. Yep.
yeah, so AI won't ask those questions and round out your book so that it's
No.
more friendly to more people.
Man, that I've been saying this for years that, and I've read some biographies where I can tell that the author himself wrote it because it's very myopic and he didn't go down these rabbit holes that I was interested in. And I tell my clients, I said, a good journalist asks the questions that the reader wants to know. Like, why did you say that? Where were you? What was the weather like? What did your wife think about that decision? All these things that add context to the story that AI cannot, it's great at taking existing data and words and putting it together. But to your point, it can't critically think like a human to say, I wonder why this happened and proactively ask the question that creates a richer manuscript and a better story. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's a great
like
piece.
how
Journalism piece. Yeah, go ahead.
like how did that make you feel?
Yeah.
Or why do you think she said that? AI won't ask that. Another thing that AI won't do is it won't tell you. When I start with a client, especially if it's a business book like methodology or something, I'm going to tell him or her, listen, whenever I see that we're entering into what I call weak sauce, right, we got to stop. Meaning that they could come in with 8 great points, but really that's
Mhm.
all they have. And
Yeah.
then in our next meetings, our next appointments, it seems like they got it from a blog. It's not really their essence. And then I'm like, hey, I think we found the end of the book. We're getting into weak sauce.
Right.
Let's keep the soup rich and meaty and stuff. And AI
Mhm.
won't do that. AI will just do whatever you
Yeah.
say. And that's
Right.
another great reason to still stick with that human interaction.
Yep. I always tell people, I said, if you're not going to hire us to write your book for you, please get a really good developmental editor. Otherwise, your book is going to, there's 99% chance it's going to be flat. It's not professionally done. So I love what you're doing, Eli. Um, what are some of the ways ghostwriters um, can improve their skills? I mean, I tell my writers to please keep reading. I have them read fiction books as well as nonfiction because I think it gives them more storytelling experiences. How do you help your ghostwriters become better writers?
I recommend every ghostwriter find a writer's critique group.
Mm.
That's what got me going. So I'm in the Clearwater
Mhm.
area, and there's a few here. So every Tuesday when I first started, I would go every Tuesday to these writers' critique groups. And if your listeners aren't familiar with it, basically if there's going to be 10 people there, you bring 10 copies of whatever you want to read, and you
Yeah.
read it for like 8 minutes, and everybody has like a minute to critique it, right? And then you critique the other people. And so
Wow.
then you take everybody's critique home with you back to the lab. And
Yeah.
now for free, now you've got all these editors that have helped enhance your work. And that helps you become a better writer. But also when you critique other people,
Yes.
that really crystallizes your writing method.
Yep.
So Doug, I still go to these groups, not as much as I used to, but every
Mhm.
once in a while I'll go. And people are like, well, Eli, where are you here? You're a professional writer. And I say, one, I'm always a student, but two, who do you think's reading my stuff? Not professional writers. I need to make sure that it's clear to you guys in the room.
Yep.
And if not, tell me why not.
That's right.
So writers critique group is the number one thing I think somebody can do for free to
Mhm.
enhance their writing capabilities.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I mean, professional athletes still do drills. They still go back to basics all the time. So why wouldn't a
Yeah.
writer want to continue getting critiques and critique others? Very, very wise. So critiquing is one thing. My wife and I also, we're both, write a little bit, but we also love watching movies and really good, dramas on TV because we're analyzing story hooks, arcs, and character development. What are some of the things you've seen where a client was working with one of your writers working with their client and they had a really boring story? How do you help them dramatize it?
Well, I'll answer it this way. You got to set the right expectation. If you write the set expectation, if you set the right expectation, then you're going to get a happy client no matter what.
Mhm.
So the thing is, if you're interviewing somebody to work with somebody, and there's no pop there, and there's nothing that moves you. You know, I mean, I would tell the client, are you sure you want to go through this? You know, and that takes a level of integrity, you know,
Yep.
and then there's the money situation. You want to get paid, you know, but there's some clients that me and I teach my writers to turn down because number
Yeah.
one, you don't want to be associated with that book.
Yep.
You,
Yep.
you know,
All right. Go
you
ahead.
know, and so you do have to have an ethical a line where it's not just about getting the business. Now, if you tell the person, listen, I'm going to write this book for you, I think that we can uncover some more emotion here. But let me tell you this, the way it looks right now, I would consider if you want to do this because it's going to cost time and money.
Yep.
And if they're just like, no, I want to do it, then great. And now if it doesn't do well, they're not bashing you. They're like, man, this person's upfront and honest. And
Yes.
so you always want to look like a potential prospect, like a potential referral source.
Mm.
Well, if you look at them that way from the beginning, not just getting money now, you know, you can have longevity in this business.
That's so true. I got a couple of pretty good sized referrals from a person who decided not to do a book with me. We had a
Yeah,
conversation or two. Hey, sounds interesting, but not for me. Like, that's fine. And I think 3 months later, in came a big contract from where'd you? Oh yeah, so and so referred me. I'm like, wow, he wasn't even a client. It's just a friend, somebody I talked
yeah,
to about the book. And like you, I'm like, it wasn't gonna be a good fit, so don't bother. Yeah,
yeah,
I think I
yeah.
was too short sighted. That's really smart. Yeah.
And Doug,
Okay.
let me mention something because I mentioned ethics and morals. There are a lot of people that think ghostwriting is unethical.
Yeah, it's weird.
And you know, and you got these purist writers, right? Hey,
Yeah.
all you purist writers that won't even consider ghostwriting, let me tell you something. The starving artist line is poetic, but it sucks. You know, like, oh, I wouldn't write something and not be able to put my name on it. You know, and so when they ask me, why do you think it's ethical to write something for somebody that somebody else takes the credit for? And a lot of people really struggle with this. They struggle with it in hiring ghostwriters and becoming ghostwriters. And I say it this way: ghostwriters are like literary midwives, right?
Yeah.
So like the nurse takes the baby out of the mother into the world. In the same way, the ghostwriter interviews and writes and takes the story out of the
Yeah.
person's head into the world. But the
Yeah.
baby doesn't belong to the nurse. The book, the content doesn't belong to the ghostwriter.
Right.
So the book is named the author, even though they didn't write a word, but it's their content. And
Right.
so it is extremely ethical. And if you see the impact ghostwriters have on the world, where marriages are saved because of a marriage book you've done, businesses are
Yep.
saved because of the methodology you put
Oh
out
my
there.
gosh.
You
Right.
know, people are motivated to lose weight because of the motivation book you helped write. You know, there's nothing unethical about it. So if that's a stigma on hiring one or becoming one, just let that release you,
Yeah.
and just give the world what God put in you to give.
hmm As we mentioned before we should start the show, I've had the fortunate time to talk to a couple of New York Times bestselling authors who, when I asked them how they got their books done, they said, "Oh, how are you managing all of these big businesses and running stuff? How do you have time to write a book?" And they said, "Oh, I'm a best-selling author, not a best-selling writer," which brings us full circle to what you do, right? You're helping writers become, you know, having a business writing basically. And my clients who are CEOs who don't have time or skill or the team to write and produce a book, they're looking for people like you train, the ghost writers, to write on their behalf. And to me, I don't see a difference between a developmental editor and a ghost writer. Like you mentioned, they're still getting the same story. You know, Birth and the Baby Hero is a great example. And I'll add one more thing to that to help the audience. You know, we don't speak the way we read, and
Mm,
we don't write the way we hear, right? I had one client who's a great speaker, and he wanted to write his own book, and he wrote it, and it was, oh my God, Eli, the run-on sentences were like a whole paragraph, which sounded great when he's speaking, but reading it, I'm like, I can't, my brain does not compute a sentence with, 80 words, it doesn't work. Our brain needs
Yeah,
to digest things, right?
yeah,
So,
and the
and
thing is,
unfortunately, his mentor said it's fine. I'm like, oh, he didn't read it. Have him please review it. Review. Oh, yeah, you need to have this thing edited because it's not going to work that way. So yeah, we don't read the way we speak, and we don't write the way we hear. We've got to make sure those are two different things. So writing for somebody, journalize, interviewing them, editing. It's all the mix it in the pot, man. It's your story. It's your idea. You need help at some level. You can't do it all. Yeah.
yeah. And the thing with the whole speaking reading thing is that when we hear, we give allowances to stutters, to and we give allowances, and the speaker has more tools, right? They can raise their voice, they can
Mm-hmm.
smile, they can
Mm-hmm.
nod, they have facial expressions, and they use all these things to communicate. But when they just speak into something and they think they're going to have a great book, you no longer have those tools. And not only do we read and speak differently, we judge harder when we read than when we listen,
Yep.
right?
Oh,
So so
true.
so
Right.
so the bar is the bar is raised when we read than when we hear somebody talk. Somebody
Yep.
can talk and say the wrong word or say whatever, but if you're reading and it's there's the comma's not somewhere it shouldn't be or there's a misspelling,
Mm-hmm.
that's a different thing. All of a sudden your credibility goes down.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I never thought about that one. It's like, yeah, that's we give allowances. I had a couple people too, in fact, who are comedians, and they want to publish a book. And I said, well, I was a judge at a competition. I heard one of the routines. I'm like, well, that's not going to translate to a book if you got to change your style because you're so visual with what he's doing and the timing on a joke. You can't put it in paper. We're going to put a bunch of dots in there. I mean, everyone reads different speeds. So you're
Right.
right about the speaking thing. It does not translate very easily, especially if it's something entertaining like a comedian. It's really hard to write funny, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it can be done if it's your style, right? If the story is so good, the punchline works slow, fast, however it's done. But if the style is part of the humor, oh boy, it's tough. It's very, very
Yeah.
tough.
Writing
Yeah,
humor in a book is hard, and I would advise
yeah,
anybody
right.
not to
Yeah,
start a book with humor.
yeah,
Uh,
not
it,
easy.
it just and also don't start the book trying to motivate people. You haven't laid enough groundwork yet.
Nice. Yeah. Well, it goes back to your author writer thing, right? You're writing for somebody else. So if they think they're the next Tony Robbins, good luck. It's just focus on stay in your lane. That's a good idea to start with it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
So tell us.
let me say this, let me say this real quick, just to give value to the writers that are listening.
Yeah.
One of the ways that we teach and that I do on how to start a book, and because I speak at a lot of writing places, and I hear this a lot. Eli, how do I start the book? What's the hook? What's the hook? There's so many. Chapter one is so important. Number one, the number one, chapter one shouldn't be about you or your client, right? It shouldn't be about them. A lot of people when they start writing, it's I this, I this, I that, and the reason why is
Right.
because they think they still have to add credibility. No, the potential reader is already holding your book. They've read the back cover copy.
Back cover,
When
yeah.
they start chapter one, they want to know, can this writer speak to me? Is it worth 3 or 4 hours of my life? Now you're being judged on chapter one. So you already got the credibility piece there. One of the things that we like to do is we start with what we call a universal truth. It's not it's not a religious truth. It's not an American truth. It's not a political truth. It's a
Right.
universal truth. So we like to do like 2 or 3 paragraphs of something that anybody will say yes to. And I'm going to give it one of them away. One of them would be like, um, you have no say what family you're born into. That's it. Had I had my druthers, I'd probably be the only son of a Roman Empire in the height of the Roman Empire, right?
Yeah.
But we have no say where we're born into. Now, a couple paragraphs of that, and here I think you and your audience will appreciate this, the psychology behind why, right? I have a
Oh
whole
yeah.
7-step story arc process on when we write books. So why, Eli? Why start with the universal truth? We do business with people we feel like we know, like, and can
Yeah.
trust.
Right.
So when somebody reads all right off the bat and they agree with you,
You
all
get
of a
their head
sudden you're going
nodding.
to get
Yep.
the whole like and trust part.
Hmm.
And trust me, them buying your book is a business transaction.
Yeah.
So that's a great way to start your book and get
Hmm.
agreement right off the bat. Start with the
Yeah.
universal truth. That I'm giving to you guys for free. That one's on the
All right.
house.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Speaking of giving things away, if you're a writer or want to become a writer, I want you to contact Eli. What's the best way for them to check out your stuff and look at your curriculum and whatnot, Eli?
Yeah, so two ways. My website is godfatherofghostwriting.com.
Hmm.
I'm the godfather of ghostwriting. I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. Uh, or via email, it's Eli, E-L-I, at theghostpublishing.com, because I am the ghost. Eli
All right.
at theghostpublishing.com.
I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate it, folks. If you didn't take notes, so right below here, click on those notes, download them. Contact Eli if you're a writer or want to become one. He's got a great curriculum and a great mind for helping you take your writing passion and turn it into a business. And that's what is going to really help you out. Thank you so much, Eli. I appreciate your time today. Until next time, have a good one. You bet.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You bet.